It's Jen from Britical Saiyans here, and today I'm going through my red Brody BR deck profile once again. So to start with, we've obviously got the leader card. So he has two active mains. The first being once per turn you can add cards from your life to hand to give him crit. And the second one is you can add up to one red extra card with an age cost of 1 from your deck to your hand, shuffle your deck, and then negate the skill for the game. So it just means for one time search you can get any extra card that costs you 1, which 9 times out of 10 you're just going to pick Black Vampire, because that lets you start all your plays. And then his awakens are, if you're up 4 or less, you get up to 2 energy back to active and then flip him over. So then we got the Awakened Demon. It's got permanent this time of, if you have a red Brody BR in play, he gains crit. So instead of taking a life, it's just kind of a constant critical. When he attacks, you draw a card and he gains 5k power for the battle. So on your leader you can just go 20k crit, which is pretty nasty. And then his secondary auto is, you can choose a card in your hand, discard it. When one of your red Brody BRs is removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill or KO'd, you choose up to one red Brody BR with an energy cost of 4 less in your hand and play it. So if something gets popped or removed from your board, you can just discard a card to play a new Broly. That's helping you just kind of like go into the swap easier, and it's just a nice way to recover. So to start with, we'll go through, well, we've got our only extra used cards for the deck, which is 3 copies of Kale Savage Berserker. So got specified cost of 1, it's got 5k power. Its first auto is when it's played, you look up to 3 cards from the top of the deck, add up to 1 mono red Saiyan card to your hand, then place the remaining on the bottom. It's got another auto once per turn. When one of your red battle cards activates a swap, you add a Merciless card. And then it's got active main -7. You choose up to one of your opponent's lead cards, and it gets -15k power for the turn. Then you choose up to one mono red battle card with an edge cost of 5 or less and the swap skill in your hand and play it. So you build up, kill it off, essentially, because you have to build to 7 through swapping and then the skills of the other cards. And then once you hit 7 you can just do the minus, play a 5 or less. So you can just like skip and type things. You can, I know some people do it, I don't. The 5-drop freezer that had swapped from Clash of Fates, people will build the 7, get rid of Kale and then play him out because he's basically called Bloodlust, so it's not bad, but I only run the 3 because that's basically what I have plus space. And go to the extra cards now. So to start with, we got 2 copies of Strats of You set, or Strategies of Universe 7. It's just active main, choose all your red Saiyan cards in your battle area, and they gain crit barrier until the end of your opponent's next turn. So it's just a nice little way to protect your Brolys in case your opponent tries to pop them. We've got 3 copies of Planet Vampire. So it's a field and active main once per turn. If you lead as a red Brody BR, which it will be, and you add a card from your life to your hand, you look up to 7 cards from the top of your deck, you can play 1 red Brody BR, Paragus BR, Bar BR, or Gurnomite BR with 5k or less power, and then shuffle your deck, and if you play a card you discard a card. So in this deck we've got 1, 2, 3 targets we can play. So it's just a nice free way to get those out, and then you discard a card, which I tend to discard the card I play if I have it in hand because I'm basically getting it for free anyway. So, and it's just nice because it helps you awaken and get things going. So then we got a single copy of Final Guardian. Counter attack if it leads red, negate the attack, choose one of your battle cards, give it 5k for a turn, and then you can activate it in your drop by paying the cost and removing itself plus 1 red card in your hand from the game, and you can only use it once per turn, but you can use it twice, so I only run the one because technically I've got 2 uses of this card. So, plus being able to use it in drop is handy because if you should discard for any reason, you still have a negate. Next, we've got 2 copies of Unending Awakening. So it's cost 1, counter attack, negate the attack, and then choose one of your red Saiyan leader cards and gain 5k for a turn. So whereas Final Guardian can give 5k to a battle card, this can give it to your leader, thus making it easier to defend yourself throughout the turn. And then our last extra card is a single copy of Violent Rays. I would run more if I had more, but I don't, and like paying out for it is paying a lot of money. So yes, counter attack if your leader's red, negate the attack, then you discard a card and choose one of the following effects. So you can either where's my words going? So yes, the following effects are: your opponent can't attack with battle cards with 20k power or more for the turn, or your opponent can't attack with unison cards with 20k power or more for the turn. So it's just a nice little way to stop some like hard aggression. You can just discard a card and Nimbus their big stuff, or Nimbus their unison if you need to. Most of the time you're just going to do battle cards though, because there's not many unisons that can hit 20k very easily without any boosting, just naturally as it were. So going into the battle cards now, and start with, I now finally have, after last time saying I won't be getting this, 4 copies of Brody Astonishing Potential. Yay! First and foremost, I didn't spend a huge amount of money people were asking originally for it. I just found out it dropped dramatically in price. I was like, you know what, these are worth like £3 now, so I'm just going to pick up a playset. Because they're cheap. So yeah, we now have this guy in the deck and it just makes it so much better. So to start with, he's 1-drop 4k, he's got swap free. So if you're playing red Brody BR, you can swap into a red Brody BR cost of 3. And he's got 2 autos. The first being you can't play another copy for a turn. And the second one being you place 1 card from your life and you drop here. So that's mandatory. When this card is played, you play up to 1 red bar BR card from your deck, then shuffle your deck. So it just lets you also play 1 of these from the deck, which then bar lets you search a Brody from your deck. So it's just a really nice bit of synergy. Hence the fact it's like really sought after, because it's self-awakening and getting a free blocker and thus getting a free search power. All for the cost of 1, and then he has swap target. So very nice card. Next we have 4 copies of our other 1-drop Brody, which is Brody Saiyan Youth. So again, swap free. He's also 1 cost 4k. He does have a permanent though of if you have a red bar in play, you can give him 11k power. And his auto is just like the other one where you can't play another copy for the turn. But what is really nice about this one, I'm just going to move out of the way for now, with copies. So if you can get this into play, you can get a bar. And then with bar, you could search any other Brody, or you could literally search this and then play it, and then you've got a 3-card combo. You've got 2 things going to your swap free, you've got 15k attacker, and you've got a blocker and a swap target. So it's very nice to have them synergized together. And finally for the 1-drops, we've got 4 copies of Paragus Oath of Vengeance. So he's got 4k unique Overlord once per turn, and his auto is when this card is played, you look up to 5 cards from the top of your deck. You add up to 1 red Brody BR or 1 red Unison card with specified cost of 1 to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So it's just a Brody searcher slash Kale searcher. Not much else to be said, and there is a couple Brody cards with Servant, so if you want to do Servant and Overlord, you have that option. But chances are you don't really need to do it, so it doesn't matter. So next we got our 2-drops. And I think I just put them on the... I did. That was smart of you, Jane. Right, so we have 4 copies of Bar, because I accidentally shoved them into this pile of cards I've already gone through. So, Bar is a 2-drop with 5k, he's got blocker, and then like I said, his auto is when this card is played, you add up to 1 mono red Brody BR with a cost of 5 less from your deck to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So you just add a Broly, as long as it's 5 or less. Which all of them are except for the big one. But and the secret if you have it. But yeah, other than that, you just get a Broly. And you have a 5k blocker. And then our other 2 drops are the super combos for the deck. So we've got 2 Raditz and 2 Jace. Raditz was the one that came in the set, so it's if it's red and you combo with it, and then you're on 4 or less, and all of your energy is red. When it's used in the combo, it gains 10k power. Then you can put cards from your hand to the bottom of the deck and draw 2. And then Jace is just when you combo with this card, if it leaves as a red Frieza army, which it is because Broly counts as Frieza's army, you draw a card and gain 10k. So I just like having Jace so I can keep myself on 5 if I feel like that's the best. And it's fun to have like an early activation super combo, I feel. And then Raditz just because these versions are really good, so you may as well run them instead of your standard super combo if you can help it. Next we've got our 3 drops. So we've got 4 copies of Broly Bonafide Saiyan. Some authentic Saiyan right there. I make that joke a lot, it's just terrible every time. So, he's got 9k power, he's got swap 4, by paying 1 red you go into this guy, it's the only one in existence. He's got Servant, so he'll gain 10k, but then he won't restand once you swing him. And when his auto is when this card is played, you choose up to 1 mono red Paragus, but well, 1 red Paragus BR, entry cost of 1 from your hand, and you play it. So you play that from your hand. And then obviously do Paragus effects, and if you want to you can send this off to do Overlord with Paragus. But chances are you're not, you're just going to swap. So and then we've got 2 copies of Yamcha Merciless Barrage, because we have a Unison card, so you run these. So counterplay, you can't activate counterplay skills on other cards for the turn. It's fine, it's the only counterplay in the deck. You choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, you get minus 15k, and then you play this guy. And then if you have a red Unison with 2 or more markers on it, you can play its counter skill without paying its cost. So as long as you hit 2 markers on KO, you can just be like, boom, Yamcha. Hence the fact we run 2 because we run 3 KOs, and it's just a case of like, if you can do it, do so. If not, it's not the end of the world. It's just a nice option. For the 4 drops, well, I think everything here now is just like part of the swap really. So we've got 4 copies of our 4 drop Broly Power of the Great Ape. So he's got 10k, swap 5 by paying 1 red into a cost 5. He's got Servant so he can gain 10k. And it's got auto of if the leader is red, when this card is played, you choose up to 1 of your red Unison cards and a marker to it. Then your opponent chooses 1 card in the hand sent to the warp. At the end of your opponent's next turn, they add the card they sent to the warp to the hand from the warp. So it's just a nice way to get a card out of your opponent's hand, and then you just have a 20k beat stick which you can use to go into your cost 5. Which we have, yet again, 4 copies of our cost 5 Super Saiyan Broly Combat Evolution. So he's got 30k crit, he's It's got swap 6 by paying 1 red. If your opponent has 3 or more energy, or you have 4 or more energy, you can go into a mono red buddy, cost 6, so this guy. And his auto is very similar to, well, it's the same as the 4-drop, so if it is red, when you play it, you give a marker to your unison, the opponent sends a card from their hand to the warp, and then gets it back at the end of their turn. The main difference is he's a 30k crit, whereas that one is a 10k with Servant. So, and yes, we go with 3 copies this time of our 6-drop Super Saiyan Broly Unlimited Power. So he's got 35k unique, critical and double strike. And his auto is very similar to the other two, except there's a slight difference. So if you lose red, when you play him, you add 2 markers to your unison card this time, and your opponent sends 3 cards from their hand to the warp, and then gets them back at the end of their turn. So if you do all 3 of those in one turn, you're getting 5 markers on unison, and sending 5 cards from their hand to the warp. And then you hit them for a 35 double crit, which is pretty nasty, and thus he's kind of a big gun of the deck, because once you get to him you can just keep getting 35 double crit, which is just a lot of pressure. And then the last card of the deck is the secret that I run in this version, which is Supreme Card of Time, Space Time Unraveler, purely because I have it. If you have the red Broly secret, that's the better one to that's the better one to run this deck. If you don't have a secret, I would just say either run an extra Kale or an extra 6-drop. So those would be my only tag-ins for this or the other secret rare. So it's got ultimate, obviously secret, it's got 40k. Permanent, if it's removed from your battle area, you remove it from the game instead. So whether it's its own effect or your opponent just like, oh no, counterplay, send it to drop, you're just like, okay, goodbye. And then it's got active main, pay 1, choose this card and all of your opponent's battle cards and unison cards and send them to their owner's warp. So it doesn't get around barrier, but it does just auto send. So anything that's like, if it's removed, well, if it's placed in the drop area, doesn't activate. I think remove battle areas do activate, but there isn't many, well, there's not many cards come to mind that would affect that. Plus it's kind of a shock and awe because you just auto remove their unison, so they can't do anything about that. And its active battle is also pay 1. If you have 3 or more energy, play this card from your hand. If you do, your opponent can't attack with lead cards or unison cards for the turn. So you can use this defensively to stop them attacking with their lead and unison cards, and just have it sit there, wait till your turn, swing a 40k, and then send it off. So, hence the fact I run it in this deck, because it's just, well, it's one of those cards you basically run in every deck if you can help it. So yeah, I text it in here when I was updating the deck. So there you are guys, that is my red Broly BR deck profile. As always, leave thoughts in the comments below, they are fun to read, and I'll see you next time. Bye!